Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Cooking It Up with Ro. Today what we're making is our Tuscan chicken and some mashed cauliflowers. These are the ingredients that I will be using. These are the seasonings. The ingredients, they will be listed below in the description box. So if you want to follow the recipe, it will be also listed in the description box. So some of the things that I'm going to do is pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to start by taking our meat. I'm using chicken thighs, boneless chicken thighs, and I'm just cleaning it up a bit and preparing to rinse it off. So we can go ahead and prepare to cook it. While you're doing this, you can have your frying pan or whatever pan you're going to use to sear the chicken. You want to go ahead and have that pan warming up so that by the time you're done cleaning and rinsing, it's good to go. I'm using a cast iron pan. So my cast iron is right now is in the oven warming up so that I can just put it on top of the stove and keep it at like a medium low heat, and it's gonna basically cook everything well. So here, as you can see, I'm just rinsing off the chicken. And once you're done rinsing the chicken, you want to make sure that you pat dry it. I had some napkins and things, which I didn't show on camera, but I did pat dry it with paper towels after rinsing it, because you're going to season it and you don't want so much water within it. So before seasoning it, well, now we're seasoning, sorry. I use avocado oil. You can use whatever oil you have. That's what I had available, so that's what I use. Vegetable oil is fine. You want to go ahead and take your seasonings of choice, which again, they're going to be listed in the description box. So I have, about 6 different seasonings that I'm mixing here. You could put it in, I'm using a Ziploc bag, but you could put it in a bowl or on a plate, whatever you want to use. But you just want to make sure that it is coated evenly on every piece of chicken that you have, or every piece of meat that you're using. You want to make sure it's completely coated. So once I'm finished with that, I put it in the fridge for 30 minutes or for however long it takes for me to prep everything else. So we're going to start on the cauliflower. I'm using a big pot because I'm cooking for a large family. So you can, I have 8 cups of water in the pot boiling, and I have the steamer basket in it. And I'm just pouring the chopped cauliflower into it. And then I'm going to put a lid on it and let that cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. These are microwavable, but because we're making mashed, I wanted to do it this way. So now we're going to go to the cutting board. You want to dice whatever vegetables that you're going to choose to use. I'm using onions, and I'm going to use some scallions, and I have some spinach. So I'm going to also chop up the spinach. So now we're adding sausages, turkey, smoked sausage. Guys, this is optional. It's up to you if you want to use it. You don't have to. I like, doing things a little different because it just, add a little more flavor. So now we're going to the stove. As you can see, having the cast iron in the oven and then having it on medium heat, it's going to cook well. You want to make sure you stay at the stove. It took maybe about 6 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes on each side, because you want to make sure that it's mostly cooked through, so that when it do go back in the pot with the sauce, that you're not eating raw chicken. So I don't know if you guys can see, but in the back left corner, you can see where I have the other chicken going, because I just wanted to cook everything at one time. So the larger pan have the sausages cooking and the chicken. So once it's done, guys, this is what it looked like. It smells real good and tastes real good, guys. I hope you guys try this recipe. You're going to really like it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So now that our cauliflower is done, as you can see, it's softened. The color, it looks a little more on the fluffy side. So I'm just taking it and scraping it into a pot. And then I'm going to add in my seasonings of choice that I'm going to use for to make the mashed potatoes. I'm basically using the same thing I use for mashed potatoes. I'm putting the same thing in. I'm putting in cream cheese. This is what I had left in the house. So we're using the vegan cream cheese. You can always use the regular cream cheese as well. I used about 2 ounces. Either or would work, or you could use sour cream. That will work as well. Add your salt, black pepper, and I'm also going to add a little bit of milk, which I use unsweetened almond milk. You can use whatever milk of choice you want to use, but this is what I use. And then you want to give it a good stir, and after you give it a good stir, you can add in whatever cheese of choice. I'm using Parmesan. You can use whatever cheese you like. So once you get everything combined, guys, all you have to do is just go ahead and put your stove on a low, or the lowest level that it has, and just let it sit there and simmer. Once you add the cheese, all the water that you see, and the milk as well from the cauliflower, it comes to a boil, so it'll thicken up some, but just go ahead and set it aside and let it sit so that you could go ahead and do the sauce. And that's our mashed cauliflower. Alrighty, so we're now we're gonna make the sauce. So I'm adding my minced garlic, and then here we're gonna go ahead and add in our onions with the minced garlic to allow them to brown and caramelize a little bit. So you always want to give your veggies a good little stir, and then you could just let them sit. Just leave them alone, let them sit for about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter. My recipe for my sauce, I use 4 tablespoons, but I don't add them all at once. So you would see later where I will add the other 2 tablespoons. And that's because of the sun-dried tomatoes that I use. I don't like buying the ones that's in a jar. So I like using the ones that's like really dry. They don't have any extra oil. It's just whatever oil I already have in it. That's what I use. So once I add that in, you want to go ahead and give it a stir. I wanted a little more, so I add a little more. But again, guys, you can add however much you like to your liking. So I allowed it to caramelize for maybe about a minute. And now I'm going to go and add the other 2 tablespoons. So once this come to a simmer, you want to go ahead and add in your chicken broth and bring it to the boil. If you don't use chicken broth, you can always use water if you like. You just may want to use a little extra, maybe like spices or Italian seasonings, just to, give it more flavor. Now here, guys, to make it more like a roux, to thicken it up, I add about a tablespoon, because I didn't use a heaping tablespoon. I used a little bit, so probably about a tablespoon and a half of flour, and mix it well, and then allow it to thicken. And then you're going to prepare to add in your milks. So now we're adding our heavy whipping cream. If you don't want to do 50-50, you could either do a whole cup of heavy cream or a whole cup of milk of your choice. So I'm using heavy cream, and I'm using unsweetened almond milk, half and half. So once you give it a good stir, guys, you should see it start thickening up, as you can see. So now I'm adding some grated Parmesan. You don't have to add grated. I like to add grated. And I also like to add the shredded Parmesan. So I do use both. So now I'm going to add about 3 small batches, like handful of it. So it's maybe about a cup, not even a whole cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. And then once you stir it, and if it looks like it's a little too thick, you can always add a little more broth or add a little more water to it, so that you could get it to the consistency that you would like for it to be. I didn't want it really thick, but I didn't want it really loose. So I'm adding in cayenne pepper. This wasn't shown earlier in the video of the seasonings I use. I did add this last minute. Now, the scallions that we cut, go ahead and put those in there and give it a stir. And while it's simmering, go ahead and add in your spinach. I did chop my spinach up because it just make it easier for it to cook down in the pot instead of leaving it whole. So you don't have to do that, but that is my preference. So, spinach can just sit in the pot and it'll just cook down on its own. So you just go ahead and just, give it a stir. Then once you give it a stir, you want to go ahead and prepare to add in your meats. It looks so good. Alrighty, so we're going to start with our sausages. And if you don't have sausages, just go ahead and put your meat in. I'm cooking for 6 people, so that's why it's a large portion. You can always, minimize the ingredients depending on, how many people you're trying to feed. So you don't really want to crowd your pan, but I did get every last one of those in this pan. So, but you want to avoid crowding your pan. But because I know the meat is done and the meat is still juicy, I'm not worried about it. You just want to get it all in there so that it can get some of the flavor from the roux that you made. And then you want to take it and you want to spoon it on top of the chicken, like so. Guys, this is exactly what it should look like. I promise you and your family, everybody will love it. From here, I'm just going to go ahead and plate it. It's self-explanatory. You could dress it up however you want to. It just goes better with rice or some type of mashed potato. But again, you can pair it however you want to pair it. This is roast Tuscan chicken and sausages with mashed cauliflower. If you guys do try the recipe, go ahead and comment, let me know, tag me, or just do me a shout out on Instagram, whatever works for you. Again, I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.